Okay, I don't know if you've seen or heard what I just said, but this is a tribute to Edward Zia, because after watching his StreamYard live on doing StreamYard lives, it motivated me to do my own impromptu StreamYard live. So I'm not new to doing lives on StreamYard. I do a couple of sessions on StreamYard. One is called Meaningful Conversations with Karen and Anna, where we basically chew the fat about different topics that we both teach on, we work with our clients on, and we have some expertise on, shall I say. And the other one is called Entrepreneurs Gold Nuggets, where once or twice a month or so, I interview some amazing entrepreneurs and ask them to share their journeys and their gold nuggets that brought them to where they are now. However, as I said, I've been feeling uninspired and unmotivated lately myself. And so I decided I wanted to do something about it because I knew that if I didn't, I would just stay in this, unmotivated, uninspired state. So I thought, okay, what can I do? And the first thing to do was to listen to someone else who is inspiring. So I decided to listen to Ed's live that he broadcast the other day on Broadcasting Live with StreamYard. And I knew that he would indeed inspire me. So I want to ask you, if you're feeling uninspired and unmotivated, what can you do to get out of that state? Because let me tell you, it is all in your head. It is all in my head. I know that because I'm feeling a particular way, it's got to do with some thoughts that I'm having about myself, about my capabilities, about what's going on. Sometimes it's overwhelm because we have so many things we want to do, so many things going on, that we get into a state of overwhelm, which can also make us feel uninspired or unmotivated. So let me tell you a little bit about my dad and how he helped me to grow up to be an entrepreneur and to understand that it is all in your head. So my dad was into, when I grew up, he was into motor cars, motorcycles, restoring cars, restoring motorcycles. He had several automotive businesses. And as a hobby, he did what we call trials riding, which is riding those special trials machines, motorcycle machines that go up very, very steep hills and through creeks and rivers and things like that. It's an extremely skilled sport. And my dad didn't so much bring us up as to say, you can do anything a boy can do. However, what I found out at his funeral recently, which Mum hadn't told us before, was that when he was young and he worked in a motorcycle store where women came in to buy motorcycles, and at that time he didn't even have his license, but he taught the women to ride motorcycles. And so when I grew up, it wasn't that he said, oh, you can do this, you're a girl, but you can do it. Boys, you can do what boys can do. He just said, come on, you can ride this machine. Let me teach you how to ride, when I was 12. So when he was out at a meeting doing the trials riding, we always went out and had picnics and we all went together. It was like a Sunday once a month or twice a month event. He said to me, come on, get on this motorcycle and I'll teach you how to ride it. And it actually was a 250, I think it was a 250 Villiers, which some of you may be old enough to know what they are. Anyway, I got on this motorcycle in a paddock with my tippy toes touching the ground, and I first, took off and learnt to ride. And after that, he said to me, well, you can have a motorcycle to go to school, because we lived a wee way away from our school, my college. And he said, you can have a motorcycle when you're 5, and that can be your form of transport to get to school. So that's what I did. And I rode motorcycles then and loved them as a passion for the next 4 or 5 years, from 15, when I actually got my license, on the road, rode them on the road until I was about 19. Then I got sick of having the bad hair, going to dates on my motorcycle, things like that, take my helmet off, hair's a mess or hair's all flat. And so I got a car. And I gave up motorcycle riding for many, many years. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s and my dad was in his 60s, that we all took up motorcycle riding again. My dad said, "Oh, I think I'm going," he'd given it up too for quite a long time, or hadn't ridden for quite a long time. He said, my brother took it up first, sorry. And then my dad said he was going to get one. And then he got a motorcycle, and then he decided he wanted to sell that second-hand one and buy a new one. So I said to him, "I'll buy your second-hand motorcycle." And so we all started riding again. But when I was in my 40s and I wanted to start riding again, my dad knew that I would have lost some confidence and that I may have had some fear around getting on a motorcycle again after all that time. And so he said to me, you want me to take you out and I'll just refresh you on riding and just help you to get confidence again. So we went out to this car park. He rode the motorcycle, I drove the car, and then we swapped. And there I was sitting on this motorcycle once again that was too tall for me, so I could only just reach the ground with my tippy toes. And I was sitting there waiting to ride it, take off. But I didn't do anything. I was frozen. I was frozen to this motorcycle with my tippy toes on the ground, afraid to move. And my dad said to me, "Well, what are you doing? What's going on here?" And I said, "Oh, I'm scared." And he said, "What are you scared of?" And I said, "Well, I'm scared that I'll drop the motorcycle," because it was his motorcycle at that point. I hadn't bought it yet. And I said, "I'm scared I'll drop it," which means fall over. And he looked at me and he said, "Karen, it's all in your head." Now, this was way before I was a mindset coach and way before I knew much about how our thoughts and what is in our head or our unconscious mind or our conscious mind actually affects our results. But as soon as he said that to me, I was like, right, I'm going to show him I can do this, and I did. I turned the throttle and let out the clutch and took off, and it was fine. And I rode it, and I stopped with my tippy toes touching the ground. So, there's a lot of points here that we want to remember. Sometimes it's really important to look at our thoughts if we've got some feelings going on, if we're feeling a bit unmotivated, a bit fearful, a bit uninspired, and say, what am I thinking? What's going on in here? Secondly, if you are in that state where you're stuck, listen to someone who inspires you. Notice that, yes, I'm feeling like that. I'm stuck. I'm not feeling anything other than, I'm not feeling motivated, inspired, and wanting to move forward to achieve my dream life, my goals. And notice that and listen to someone who's going to inspire you. And the third and most important thing to do when we're in this state or when we're working on our dreams and on our goals is to take action. Make a time to take the next action that's going to move you forward and serve your goals and your dreams. Setting goals, doing all those kind of things is amazing. However, taking any action is what's going to flip the coin. It's the grounding energy that moves all of that energy from your thoughts and your emotions and brings it into your real life. So that's what happened with with my dad and I went on to ride motorcycles. I've got a few photos here and I want to share them just for fun, really. So I'm going to share my screen and see if you can. I've never done this before, by the way. I've done lives, as I said, but I haven't done it like this. So it says, Google Chrome would like to record this computer screen, open system preferences. Okay. I don't know if this is going to work. Choose what to share with StreamYard. Okay. I want to share my emails, actually. So let's see if I can find this. This is what you do. By the way, the other thing I want to talk to you about is don't wait for everything to be perfect. You don't have to go out and get your hair done. I mean, I admit I've had a shower and I've put my makeup on. That's something I do every day. My mum taught me that. You know, she was a stay-at-home mum most of the time, although she did go to work and do some admin like once a week when I was older. But she was a stay-at-home mum, but she always said, I get up, I have a shower or a bath or whatever in the morning, and I put my face on, put my makeup on, whether I'm going out or not. So I have put my face on, I have put my war paint on or whatever, and I've had a shower. I haven't been to the hairdresser and had my hair perfect or anything. So don't wait for everything to be perfect because that will hold you up as well. Those of us who are perfectionists, I can't find my email. So I don't know if I can share them this time, but maybe next time I do the live, I will be able to share the email with some photos of my beautiful dad and his first motorcycle that he got when he started riding again in his 60s. So that's what happened is we started riding again, all of us, and we started doing some beautiful family tours together. And, you know, we used and learnt some really valuable rules and things to do, which I'll talk more about on my next live. However, on this live, I really just wanted to give you those 3 key points about how to get inspired again, how to get motivated again. And I'll just recap on those, and then I'm going to finish this live. 1 is talk to or listen to someone who inspires you when you're feeling stuck. 2 is have a talk to yourself and ask yourself, what's going on? What am I thinking? What are my thoughts? Why am I feeling this way? Because it's always your thoughts. Sometimes it's one of those 60 to 70, or it's several of those 60 to 70,000 thoughts that we have every day that are in our unconscious mind, our subconscious mind as well. And sometimes we have to ask ourselves, well, what is going on? What am I thinking? And the 3rd thing is actually do something. Take some action every day. And if you don't know what to do, ask. Ask the universe. Ask yourself. Sit there and say, what is one step or one action that I can take today that is going to further me towards moving forward in my life, towards my goals, that's going to serve my vision. And know what your vision is, by the way. Be clear on what your vision for that life you would love to be living is. So on that note, I'm going to finish. I'm sorry I can't share my screen and any photos with you. I'm going to finish this live. Thank you so much for coming on, whether you have come on live or whether you watch the live later. I will see you in a week, 2 weeks, a month. I'm not sure when I'm going to do my next live. However, because of Edward Zia saying that he does these lives every now and then, I have decided to do these unplanned, unforecast lives on my topics to help you, my listeners and my followers, learn more about what really causes our results and how to do things like become inspired again, become motivated, go for those big goals, those big dreams, and conquer the fear and the doubt and the things that stop us. Get over the procrastination. All right, so thank you all for coming. I'm Karen Clark. Clark Ashens & Co is my coaching business. I'm also known as the Quantum Queen. I coach my clients to achieve those results that they really would love in their life and their business. Talk soon. Bye.